Death in Venice is a meditation on detachment, beauty, decay, and the tragedy of a life observed but never lived. It has become my favorite film not just for its aesthetic mastery, but for its profound insight into the consequences of emotional withdrawal and artistic isolation. At its core, Death in Venice has a surprisingly slim plot. A solitary composer travels to Venice for rest and recuperation, becomes fixated on a beautiful boy staying at his hotel, and dies quietly on the beach. There are no climactic confessions, no overt confrontations, no external action that traditionally drives a narrative forward. And yet, the film is far more than the sum of its events. It is a psychological and aesthetic meditation, told almost entirely through atmosphere, imagery, and silence. Its stillness is its power. Luchino Visconti's Death in Venice, released in 1971, is an adaptation of Thomas Mann's 1912 novella. Starring Dirk Bogarde as Gustav von Ashenbach, the film was shot almost entirely on location in Venice, Italy, a setting whose opulence and decay perfectly mirror the story's emotional and philosophical undercurrents. While Mann's Ashenbach is a writer, Visconti reimagines him as a composer, drawing heavily on Gustav Mahler's music, especially the Adagietto from Mahler's Fifth Symphony, to deepen the film's elegiac tone. Visconti, a master of operatic grandeur and psychological subtlety, opens the film with a breathtaking visual metaphor. What initially appears to be an impressionist painting slowly resolves into a hazy view of Venice, seen from the deck of a ferry carrying Ashenbach across the water. This painterly stillness defines the film's visual approach. Long takes, lingering shots, and symbolic framing convey inner disintegration masked by surface elegance. An aristocrat and Marxist, openly gay and deeply attuned to themes of identity, repression, and decline, Visconti does not reduce Mann's story to a tale of sexuality. Instead, he expands its philosophical resonance, about art, mortality, and the cost of detachment. The production design and costuming, led by Piero Tosi, reinforce this tension. Rich, saturated colors and meticulous period detail evoke both beauty and rot. Ashenbach's increasingly artificial appearance, his rouged cheeks, powdered face, and dyed hair, becomes a mask of vitality that cannot conceal decay. Venice itself becomes an active participant in the film. Its faded elegance, sun-bleached corridors, and eerily still waters mirror Ashenbach's psychological state, outwardly composed, inwardly crumbling. The cinematography dwells on peeling facades and nearly empty plazas, suggesting that what seems timeless is, in fact, slipping away. Equally striking is how the film communicates so much with so little dialogue. Death in Venice is largely a silent experience, relying on imagery, body language, and music rather than speech. Conversations are rare and often minimal. The emotional weight is carried through glances, framing, and silence. Visconti's choice to let images speak imbues every moment with a meditative stillness, reinforcing Ashenbach's isolation and the gulf between perception and participation. Visconti's use of Mahler's Adagietto is more than a soundtrack, it becomes Ashenbach's unspoken voice, yearning, haunted, and alone. The film also resonates with late 19th century debates about beauty and art. During this period, thinkers and artists increasingly questioned the purpose of beauty. Was it an ideal to be worshipped, a source of moral truth, or a seductive distraction from life? Writers like Oscar Wilde and philosophers like Nietzsche explored beauty's ambiguity, its potential to elevate or destroy. Visconti's film taps directly into this cultural legacy, showing beauty not as salvation, but as a mirror of the viewer's inner life, reflecting what one lacks or refuses to confront. I began this exploration after reading a review that casually labeled Death in Venice as a gay movie. The comment struck me as superficial, an attempt to categorize the film through the lens of identity rather than engage with its deeper meanings. While the film undeniably presents a homoerotic gaze, reducing it to sexual orientation misses the point. This is not a narrative about homosexuality in any modern sense. To suggest otherwise is like insisting that a man admiring a painting of a nude male figure must be experiencing a sexual response, rather than an aesthetic one. There is a difference between recognizing beauty and desiring it, between being moved by a form and wanting to possess it. It is a meditation on beauty, repression, and mortality. It is a portrait of a man whose tragedy lies not in his desire, but in his inability to feel, to act, and ultimately, to live. Death in Venice is often framed as a tale of passion, of a man overcome by beauty and desire. But that reading, though common, risks missing the film's more subtle and devastating truth. Ashenbach is not undone by feeling, he is undone by the absence of it. At the beginning of the film, Gustav von Ashenbach is a man of restraint, his personal life marked by loss and disappointment. He is in visibly poor health, early scenes suggest a serious illness, possibly a heart condition, adding to his vulnerability. A composer known for discipline and devotion to form, he believes in the redemptive power of structure. He is introspective and emotionally distant, a watcher, not a participant. His life has been shaped by thought, not feeling. He is a widower, with a wife and daughter apparently deceased, and he may be haunted by the failure of a recent symphonic premiere. When he travels to Venice, it is not to seek inspiration or connection, it is to retreat. What unfolds is not a descent into passion but a deepening of detachment. Tadzio, the beautiful Polish boy he observes at the hotel, stirs not lust, but longing, a longing for youth, for vitality, for life itself. Yet Ashenbach never speaks to him, never approaches him, never touches him. He only watches. His obsession is entirely internalized, aestheticized, almost religious. It is not a relationship, it is a gaze. Tadzio's glances, his poised movements, might appear flirtatious to some viewers. But Visconti himself clarified, Tadzio does not love the man. He does not even know he is being desired. What we see is not a relationship, it is a fantasy. It is the fantasy that kills. The tragic irony is that Ashenbach observes life as he always has, from a distance. He sees Venice deteriorate, learns of the cholera epidemic, and stays. Just as the authorities hide the truth to protect the city's image, Ashenbach clings to his role as the composed observer. He does not act. He does not flee. He simply continues to watch. The salon scene, where he dyes his hair and powders his face, is often seen as vanity or surrender to passion. But it may be better understood as a final, desperate attempt to delay the inevitable. It is not an embrace of life, but a theatrical denial of death. In contrast, Tadzio represents life in motion. He swims, runs, plays. He does not ponder beauty, he is beauty. He is not burdened by philosophy or aesthetics. He is real. And that reality is what makes him unreachable. The final scene, Ashenbach slumped in his chair as Tadzio stretches his arm toward the sea, is often read as collapse into beauty. But it is, more accurately, the culmination of a life lived in detachment. He dies exactly as he lived, silent, seated, alone. Not overwhelmed by emotion, but starved of it. Tadzio disappears into the horizon, luminous and free. Ashenbach remains fixed in place, a man who mistook watching for living, beauty for connection, and discipline for fulfillment. In the end, it wasn't desire that destroyed him. It was distance. This film has long held a deep personal resonance for me. Among all the works of cinema I've encountered, Death in Venice remains my favorite, for its visual poetry, its emotional restraint, and its haunting meditation on what it means to live without ever truly living.